Today I'm taking a look at the Razer DeathAdder V2 Pro. The DeathAdder is one of the most popular mice on the planet, so a lot of people know this shape. During my professional career in Call of Duty 4, I played in an organization that was sponsored by Razer. And those days I did use the DeathAdder for some time. It was a good mouse, but it was a big change coming from an IntelliMouse optical. It did take me quite a while to get used to it, and the same happened with the Razer DeathAdder V2 Pro. But let's go take a closer look and see how I like it. Starting with the packaging, the Razer DeathAdder V2 Pro comes with a minimalistic package. There is not much included, but Razer did this to help the planet, and I also like the planet, so I agree with this move. The standard package comes with a dongle and a USB cable that you can charge with. You can also get the charging dock, but that costs extra. The build quality in the DeathAdder V2 Pro is rock solid. There is no side flex, bottom flex or top flex. It's pretty much built like rock, apart from some slight scroll wheel rattle. I can barely hear that though, and it only happens when I really shake the mouse. By the way guys, if you happen to be new here, hit that subscribe button and click the like button if you enjoy the content. It really helps the channel out. The coding seems to be the same as on the Viper Ultimate. It feels very good to me, and there is no fingerprint shown even after heavy use. As are on the Viper Ultimate, the sides are also rubberized on the DeathAdder V2 Pro. Looking at the design of the mouse, there's this sort of bit on the mouse that has these two DPI buttons and the scroll wheel. I like it because it minimizes the chance of accidentally clicking the DPI buttons. The bottom side of the mouse has the profile button and then a switch for connectivity. The options are Bluetooth and the hyperspeed 2.4 GHz. For convenience sake, I really like the inclusion of Bluetooth. I can use it on my work PC and my gaming PC without moving anything or switching any USB dongles or wires or anything. On the bottom side there is also this little spot for the USB dongle. For charging purposes I have the dock from the Razer Viper Ultimate, so I have been only using that. I would say it's a little bit more convenient to use the dock, and I can sort of remember easier to charge the mouse. So the DeathAdder shape is pretty legendary. People have been using this mouse for a long time, and it's on the larger side of gaming mouse. The left side of the mouse is all through quite heavily curved, and on the right side there are heavy curves on the front and the back of the mouse. The right side front curve I use to rest my fingers. The DeathAdder shape does have these standard kind of features for ergonomic mice. For example, it's quite high profile and it does have this curvature on the top of the mouse. Looking at the measurements, the DeathAdder V2 Pro is 41.7mm high, then it's 69.8mm wide in the front and 68.9mm in the back. And it's also 127mm long. My grip style with this mouse is sort of a claw-palm hybrid. I also like to switch my grip style just a little bit day to day with this mouse. Sometimes I lay my palm a little bit on top of the mouse so it doesn't touch the mousepad at all. I would say this feels more like claw grip to me, and then when my palm touches the mousepad it's more of like a palm grip. But in both of those cases it's really neither one of those grip styles, but it's something in between. Initially I did struggle with the mouse and I had to play with it for about 2 weeks to get comfortable. I mean, this mouse is much larger than anything I've used in a long time. But in the end I did get comfortable with the shape. I would not say that this shape is for everybody, but there definitely are a lot of people who like DeathAdder shape. It's good for those who have large hands and those who have medium or medium to large hands. The mouse weighs 88 grams, so it's not exactly lightweight. For me, the optimal weight is something like 70 grams, and the DeathAdder V2 Pro is quite a bit over that, but I did not have an issue with this. In the games that I played, the weight didn't really bother me at all. The buttons on this mouse are really good. Razer has been working on their optical switches and these feel premium to me. The clicks are easy to actuate and they feel tactile. The mouse 1 and 2 buttons have pretty much no side play. At least absolutely nothing that I will ever feel in game. The mouse buttons have also very nice comfort grooves, and you're pretty much used to these if you have ever used a DeathAdder before. There is also no pre-travel, only a slight bit of post-travel. As usual with these optical switches, the buttons feel very responsive. These side buttons are actually superb. There is like no pre-travel and only a slight bit of post-travel when I really press the button heavily. One minus with this mouse is that with my other grip style I really can't press the front mouse button that easily. But if I use my second grip style with the mouse, I can easily press it. I think that's also down to the fact that my hands are maybe a little bit small for this mouse. The scroll wheel feels very good in games and in general use, and it's easy to actuate the button. All in all, the buttons are very high quality with this mouse. Here is a quick sound test. There is the slight downside that in the beginning I accidentally did actuate the right mouse button a couple of times. So maybe they are just a tad bit too easy to actuate. But yeah, as I said, after a couple of weeks those accidental actuations did not happen anymore. Regarding the sensor, the mouse has the Razer Focus Plus 20K sensor. It feels absolutely fantastic. No input lag, no acceleration, feels very good in game. The wireless tech is also superb. Razer claims that their wireless tech is the fastest. Can't really argue with that, but I really can't feel a difference against the G Pro wireless. They are both super fast and input lag free in my opinion. The lift-off distance configuration is quite extensive for the Focus Plus sensor. You can use smart tracking and enable asymmetric cutoff if you want. Then there is an option to also manually calibrate your mouse. For me, the smart tracking with 1mm tracking distance seems to be working very well. There is also 70 hours of battery life with uninterrupted gameplay. I assume that this is without the RGB, but yeah, I really have no complaints with the battery life in the DeathAdder. I use it for about 2 days and then I plug it into the dock for a night. For RGB, the mouse only has this Razer logo on the backside. It's nice looking, but as it's mostly hidden when you use the mouse, you might want to disable it for more battery life. I was really surprised by the mouse feet on the DeathAdder V2 Pro. The mouse has 2 smaller feet on the front and 1 large in the back. Of course it glides well on the Artisan Zero, and it glides very well on my Xtrfy GP4 and on my Odin Zero Gravity XL. Even with the Logitech G640 the glide is good. This is one of those mice that you really don't need to switch the mouse feet for. But how did I perform with the mouse? Well, it did start quite poorly. I did need that 2 weeks because the mouse is so large. I've mostly used smaller mice and it's quite a big difference. But after the 2 weeks, I did start hitting headshots in CS. The weight was of no issue for CS and Valorant, but I did feel it slightly hindering me in Diabolical. It was fine for dueling, but for a faster paced game mode I want a little bit lighter mouse. Although I did perform fine with the mouse, this mouse is not designed for me. And it's definitely not in my top 3, but it doesn't make the mouse bad whatsoever. I'm not expecting every mouse to be good for me and neither should you. This is mainly meant for those with medium to large hands or large hands. You can palm grip this mouse or then you can palm claw hybrid this mouse like I do. It's a long time favorite for many people, so I think it's about time we get a wireless one. It's a natural option for those who like the DeathAdder shape. There is really nothing else quite like it. But as I mentioned, it's not really designed for me. I would want something in between of the DeathAdder V2 and the V2 Mini. To conclude the review, the technology in this mouse is insane. It has the 2nd gen Razer optical mouse switches and those feel very good to me. They are starting to be almost as tactile as some of the mechanical switches. Also, the Razer Hyperspeed wireless tech is supposed to be 25% faster than any other on the market. The buttons are good, the sensor is good, the mouse feet are good, the wireless tech is good. I mean, there are pretty much no downsides. But the one downside is the shape for some people with small or small to medium hands. So this is definitely not for the people who like small and lightweight mice. I would not suggest this for anyone who plays, for example, Fortnite, but if you play slower paced games or arena FPS, this works for you fine. For me personally, this is not a top 5 or an endgame mouse. After about 2 weeks it started feeling comfortable and I did aim well with the mouse. But as I previously said, a lot of people do love this shape. I mean, it's all time one of the most sold mice on the planet. For example, NVC, who I have a podcast that plays arena FPS and uses the DeathAdder. So it's definitely good enough for a high tier player who likes large and ergonomic mice. Another downside is maybe the price. But in US it seems to be around $130. So for a high tier wireless mouse it's not that high. In Europe it's of course higher. It's about 160 euros here and it's on the higher side of things. But if you happen to be a DeathAdder fan, I do think that this is worth your money. Of course, if you want to save some money, you can buy the wired version also. That's it from me. Remember to subscribe and like the video, and see you in the next one.